What if I told you that one small mistake, just one word, can instantly make your English sound wrong even if your sentence is almost perfect? And most learners repeat this mistake daily.
That sounds serious, Emily. Are you talking about something like grammar rules, or is it one of those confusing word pairs that look simple but actually create big problems?
Exactly, John. Today, we are talking about one of the most common mistakes learners make, using much and many incorrectly. And trust me, this tiny confusion can change your sentence completely.
Oh, yes. I've heard people say things like, I have much friends, or I don't have many money, and honestly, it sounds a little strange, even though I understand what they mean.
That's a perfect example. The meaning is clear, but the sentence is not correct. And in spoken English, small mistakes like this can affect your confidence and clarity.
So, Emily, before we go deeper, can you tell our viewers what they will learn in this video? Because I know they love structured and clear learning.
Of course, in this video, you will learn the difference between much and many, when to use each one, common mistakes to avoid, and real-life examples you can use daily.
That sounds super helpful. And dear viewers, don't just watch. Try to think, answer, and repeat with us. That's how you actually improve your English step by step.
Let's start with a simple question, John. Which sentence sounds correct to you? I have many books or I have much books?
I think I have many books sounds correct. The second one feels a bit odd, but I'm not fully sure why it is wrong.
Great observation. The correct sentence is, I have many books. And the reason is simple. Many is used with countable nouns like books, pens, apples, or students.
Oh, so anything we can count individually, like one book, two books, three books, that comes under many, right?
Exactly, you got it. Now let's look at the other side. Much is used with uncountable nouns like water, money, time, or information, things we cannot count individually.
That makes sense. So I should say I don't have much money, not many money, because money is uncountable, correct?
Perfect, John. That's exactly right. And this is where most learners make mistakes. They don't think about whether the noun is countable or uncountable.
Emily, I remember once I said, I have much work today, and my friend corrected me. At the time, I felt a bit embarrassed, but now I understand why it was wrong.
That's completely normal, John. Mistakes are part of learning. The correct sentence is, I have much work today, because work is uncountable in this context.
I see. So the key is not just memorizing much and many, but understanding the type of noun we're using in the sentence.
Exactly. And here's a small tip. If you can add numbers before the noun, like 1, 2, 3, then use many. If not, then use much.
That's a really useful trick. I think viewers can apply this immediately without getting confused again and again.
Yes, and don't worry if it feels confusing at first. With practice and examples, it will become natural. By the end of this video, you will feel much more confident. In the next part, we will look at common mistakes people make in real-life situations and how to correct them instantly.
And trust me, some of those mistakes are so common that you might realize you've been using them incorrectly for a long time.
Welcome back. Now that you understand the basic difference between much and many, let's move into real-life mistakes that learners make and how you can correct them instantly.
Yes, this is the part I'm excited about, because sometimes we understand rules, but when we speak in real situations, we still make mistakes without realizing it.
Exactly, John. So let's start with a common sentence people say, I don't have many time. Does that sound correct to you?
Now that I think about it, it feels slightly wrong. I think it should be, I don't have much time because time is uncountable, right?
Perfect. That's absolutely correct. Time cannot be counted individually, so we always use much with it, especially in negative sentences, like, I don't have much time.
Oh, you mentioned something interesting, negative sentences. Does that mean much is more commonly used in negative or question forms?
Great question. Yes, in everyday English, much is mostly used in negative sentences and questions, like, I don't have much money, or do you have much information?
That's really helpful. So if I say, I have much money, it sounds unnatural even if it is grammatically possible.
Exactly. In positive sentences, instead of saying much, we usually say a lot of or lots of, so I have a lot of money sounds more natural.
Got it. So instead of saying I have much work, I should say I have a lot of work, especially in daily conversation.
Yes, that's the natural way native speakers communicate, and this small change can make your English sound much more fluent and comfortable.
I remember once in college, I said there are many students in the class, and my teacher corrected me. At the time, I didn't understand why it was wrong.
That's a classic mistake. The correct sentence is, there are many students in the class. Because students is a countable noun, you can count them individually.
Now it's clear. So whenever I see plural countable nouns like books, people, or cars, I should automatically think of using many.
Exactly, John. You're building the right habit now, and habits are what make your English natural, not just memorizing rules. Let's try another one. How many water do you drink every day? Does that sound correct to you?
No, I think it should be how much water do you drink every day because water is uncountable.
Excellent. That's the correct answer. This is a very common mistake, especially when asking questions.
So the correct pattern is how many for countable nouns and how much for uncountable nouns, right?
Absolutely correct. For example, how many apples do you have? How much milk do you need? Here's a quick tip. If you're ever confused, try imagining the noun in your mind. If you can count it one by one, use many. If not, use much.
That's a very practical trick. I think viewers can apply this immediately without overthinking grammar rules.
And remember, making mistakes is part of learning. What matters is that you are now becoming aware and correcting them step by step.
Yes, and I already feel more confident. Earlier, I used to guess randomly, but now I have a clear idea of how to choose between much and many.
In the next part, we will explore some tricky sentences where even advanced learners get confused, and we will solve them together.
And trust me, some of those examples will surprise you and make you think twice before choosing the correct word.
Welcome back. Now we are entering a slightly tricky area where even intermediate learners make mistakes. So stay focused, think carefully, and try to answer before we explain.
All right, Emily, I'm ready. And dear viewers, don't just listen. Pause and try to answer each example. That's how you train your brain to think in English.
Let's start with this sentence. There isn't many sugar in my tea. Does this sound correct, or do you think something needs to be changed?
I think it's incorrect. It should be, there isn't much sugar in my tea, because sugar is uncountable and cannot be counted individually.
Excellent, John. That's absolutely right. Sugar is uncountable, so we always use much, especially in negative sentences like this one. Now try this one. How much people attended the meeting yesterday? Take a moment and think carefully before answering.
That sounds incorrect. I think it should be, how many people attended the meeting yesterday? Because people is countable, even though it feels like a group.
Perfect. That's a very common confusion. Even though people refers to a group, we can count individuals, so we use many.
I see now. English is tricky sometimes. It looks simple, but small mistakes can completely change the correctness of a sentence.
True, but once you understand the logic, it becomes much easier. Let's try another example that often confuses learners. Listen carefully. I don't get many sleep these days. Does this sound correct?
No. I think it should be, I don't get much sleep these days, because sleep is not something we can count like 1 sleep, 2 sleeps.
Exactly. That's the correct reasoning. Sleep is uncountable, so we use much. Great job identifying the mistake.
This reminds me of my daily life. I often say I don't have much time and I don't get much sleep, especially during exams or busy days.
That's a perfect real-life usage. These are very common expressions, and using them correctly makes your English sound natural and fluent. Now, let's try a slightly confusing one. There is too many traffic on the road today. What do you think about this sentence?
I think it should be, there is too much traffic on the road today, because traffic is uncountable.
Absolutely correct. Traffic is uncountable, so we always use much, not many, even though it represents many vehicles. Here's something important to remember. Some words feel countable because they represent many things, but grammatically they are uncountable, like traffic, furniture, advice, and information.
Oh, that's interesting. So even if there are many pieces of furniture, we still say much furniture, not many furniture, right?
Exactly. And if you want to count them, you can say pieces of furniture instead of directly counting furniture.
This is actually very helpful. I think many learners don't realize this difference, and that's why they keep making the same mistakes again and again.
Yes, and awareness is the first step to improvement. Once you notice these patterns, your brain starts correcting itself automatically over time. So let's quickly revise. Use many with countable nouns like books, people, and apples.
Use much with uncountable nouns like water, time, and information.
And in daily conversation, instead of much in positive sentences, we often use a lot of to sound more natural and fluent. In the next part, we will explore advanced usage, including phrases like too much, too many, so much, and so many.
And trust me, understanding those expressions will take your English to the next level and help you sound more natural in conversations.
Welcome back. Now we are moving to a very important part, using expressions like too much, too many, so much, and so many in real-life situations.
Yes, I've heard these phrases a lot, but sometimes I get confused about when to use too much and when to use too many. They sound similar but mean slightly different things.
That's a very common confusion, John. But don't worry, by the end of this section, you'll be able to use these expressions naturally and confidently. Let's start with too much. We use too much with uncountable nouns when something is more than needed or more than comfortable.
So, for example, I can say, I drank too much water, meaning I drank more water than necessary, right?
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Water is uncountable, so we use too much. It shows excess, more than what is required. Now let's look at too many. We use too many with countable nouns when the number is more than needed.
So I can say, there are too many people in the room, because people is countable, correct?
Perfect again. You're getting it quickly. Too many people means the number of people is more than comfortable or expected.
Let me try comparing both. I have too much work and I have too many tasks. Both show excess, but one is uncountable and the other is countable.
Exactly, John. That comparison is excellent. Work is uncountable, while tasks can be counted individually, so we use many. Here's a fun example. I ate too many chocolates versus I ate too much chocolate. Both are correct, but the meaning changes slightly.
Oh, I think I understand. Too many chocolates means I ate many individual pieces, while too much chocolate focuses on the quantity overall.
Exactly. That's a very subtle but important difference. Both are correct depending on what you want to express. Now let's talk about so much and so many. These are used to show a large quantity, often with emotion or emphasis.
So if I say, I have so much respect for you, it means I have a very large amount of respect, right?
Yes, and that's a beautiful sentence. Respect is uncountable, so we use so much to show strong feeling or intensity. Now for so many. For example, I have so many friends who support me. Here, friends is countable, so we use many.
That makes sense. So many is used when we can count the number and it adds emotional emphasis to the sentence.
Here's a quick correction tip. Learners sometimes say so much people, which is incorrect. The correct sentence is so many people.
Yes, I've heard that mistake before. Now I understand why it's wrong because people is countable, even though it represents a group.
You see, English is not about memorizing blindly. It's about understanding patterns and practicing them until they become natural.
I agree. The more we practice these patterns in real-life sentences, the more confident we become while speaking without hesitation.
So let's quickly revise. Too much and so much to uncountable nouns, too many and so many to countable nouns.
And always remember to think about whether you can count the noun or not. That one question can solve most of your confusion instantly.
In the next part, we will do a quick revision with mixed examples and test your understanding with some fun challenges.
And at the end, we will also learn some useful vocabulary from today's lesson that you can start using immediately.
Welcome back. Now it's time to test your understanding with some mixed examples. This is where you'll truly realize how much you've learned so far.
Yes, and dear viewers, this is your chance to actively participate. Don't just listen. Pause, think, and answer before we explain. That's how real learning happens.
All right, let's begin with a simple one. I don't have blank patience today. What should we use here? Much or many?
I think it should be much because patience is uncountable. We cannot count patience like 1 patience, 2 patience.
Excellent, John. The correct sentence is, I don't have much patience today. That's a very common real-life sentence. Now try this one. There are blank opportunities in this field. What do you think?
Opportunities is countable, so the correct answer should be many. So the sentence becomes, there are many opportunities in this field.
Perfect. That's absolutely right. You're clearly understanding the concept very well now. Here's a slightly tricky one. I received blank information about the project. What will you choose?
I think it should be much because information is uncountable, even though it feels like many pieces of data.
Exactly. That's a classic example. Information is always uncountable, so we use much, not many. Now let's make it a little more fun. I'll say a sentence and you quickly correct it. There is too many noise in this area.
That sounds wrong. It should be, there is too much noise in this area because noise is uncountable.
Great correction. You're doing really well. This shows that your understanding is becoming stronger. Next one. How much books did you buy yesterday? Is this correct?
No, it's incorrect. It should be, how many books did you buy yesterday? Because books are countable.
Perfect. That's exactly right. You corrected it quickly. That's a sign of real improvement.
I feel like I'm starting to notice these mistakes in real life now. Even when I hear others speaking, I can identify whether they are using much or many correctly.
That's a great sign, John. When you start noticing mistakes around you, it means your understanding is becoming deeper and more natural. Let's quickly revise everything again in a simple way. Use many for things you can count, like people, books, or ideas.
And use much for things you cannot count, like water, time, money, or information. Also, use much mostly in questions and negative sentences.
Exactly. And remember to use a lot of in positive sentences instead of much to sound more natural in daily conversation.
Yes, like saying, I have a lot of work, instead of saying, I have much work. That sounds much more natural and fluent.
I'm really proud of your progress, John. And dear viewers, if you are following along and answering these questions, you are improving step by step.
Yes, don't underestimate this practice. These small corrections and exercises are building your confidence and helping you speak more accurately.
In the final part, we will quickly revise everything, end with a strong message, and learn at least 10 useful vocabulary words from today's lesson.
So, stay till the end because those vocabulary words will help you use what you learned today in real-life conversations more effectively.
We've finally reached the last part of this lesson, and I just want to say, if you stayed till here, you are truly serious about improving your English step by step.
Yes, Emily, not everyone has the patience to learn deeply like this. So, dear viewers, if you are still watching, give yourself some credit. You are already improving.
Let's take a quick final revision. Use many with countable nouns like books, people, and opportunities, and use much with uncountable nouns like time, money, and information.
And remember, in positive sentences, we usually prefer a lot of instead of much because it sounds more natural and comfortable in everyday English conversations.
Exactly. Also, don't forget expressions like too much, too many, so much, and so many. These small phrases can make your English more expressive and natural.
I feel much more confident now. Earlier, I used to guess randomly, but now I actually understand the logic behind choosing the correct word.
That's the goal, not memorizing rules, but understanding patterns. When you understand clearly, you don't have to struggle while speaking.
And I think consistency is very important. Even if we learn something small every day, it builds strong confidence over time.
Now, as promised, let's learn 10 useful vocabulary words from today's lesson, so you can start using them in your daily conversations.
Yes, and dear viewers, don't just listen. Try to use these words in your own sentences. That's how vocabulary becomes part of your natural speaking.
The ability to stay calm while waiting. Example, you need patience to learn English step by step.
Yes, and a chance to do something. Example, learning English gives you many opportunities in life.
Facts or knowledge about something. Example, I need more information about this course.
Belief in your ability. Example, practice daily to build your confidence.
Feeling unsure or nervous. Remove hesitation by speaking regularly.
Repeated action to improve a skill. Example, daily practice makes your English better.
Something that is incorrect. Example, don't fear mistakes, learn from them.
To improve. Example, you will improve if you stay consistent.
Something that feels normal or easy. Speak simple English to sound natural.
Doing something regularly. Example, be consistent to see real progress.
These words are simple but very powerful. If you start using them daily, your English will become more clear, expressive, and confident.
Yes, and remember, learning English is not a one-day process. It's a journey, and every small step you take today will help you tomorrow.
Before we end, we have a small request. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share, and support our channel.
And most importantly, subscribe to the Word Lab because we are here to help you learn English in the simplest and most practical way.
Make it a habit to learn something new every day. Even 5 minutes of learning can create a big difference over time.
We'll be back with more interesting topics like this so you can keep improving your English step by step without feeling confused or bored.
Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself.
We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and keep growing.
Thank you for watching, and welcome to the Word Lab.